It is officially 2020. Whoop! I can't believe it. Roaring 20s, everybody. No, not really. But it is officially January 3rd, 2020. I'm super excited about 2020. For some reason, everyone is like super excited. I don't know if it's just like the turn of the decade or what, but or just the last 20 years haven't been so great. I don't really know. But either way, I'm also excited about 2020 as well. I have a couple of resolutions that I'm working on for 2020. I'm not calling them New Year's resolutions. I'm not even honestly calling them goals. I do have goals set up, but most of these are being defined by themes. I have 3 themes throughout the year, one being focus, one being content, and another one being health. And I've lumped these into themes because I feel like I get bored with goals, or I lose focus, or whatever they may be. So I'm kind of doing a year-long theme with smaller goals underneath those that are going to change on a quarterly, monthly, weekly kind of basis. I did do a little bit of videoing to kind of show the themes, how I broke them up into quarters, how I defined, how I started setting some measurements to reach those goals. And I'm going to go ahead and show you guys that now. Okay, so to start, I have decided to break things into themes. And then instead of having specific goals for a whole entire year, I would create themes, and I've created 3 themes, one being health, one being focus, and another one being content. And then from each one of these themes, based on the quarter, I have outlined specific goals that I want to try to achieve. Let me see if I can get this without the really weird dome. Okay, so first goal that I have for the first quarter is on the health aspect is I want to complete a 25-minute kettlebell circuit without putting the bells down. The red things underneath are just some small little metrics that I can do on a day-to-day in order to achieve that goal at the end of the quarter. And then my second one is to meditate for 15 minutes a week. If I break this down into a per day, that's only around 3 minutes, so that's easily obtainable. My next one is focus. So I'm really trying to stay more focused instead of being distracted this year. So my first one is to work a 40-hour work week. So that doesn't include, as of right now, no networking and then no actually getting to knows. So this is just purely work, sales. I think I get a little bit, confused, not confused. I say that I'm going and having coffee with someone and that's a part of my 40-hour work week, and in reality it's not. It's great professional development, business development, but in reality what I need to start doing is being more intentional about those meetings so that they can strategically align me as I move forward, but then knowing full well that these are things that are taking away from my time, or things that are, they just want to pick my brains or whatever it may be. And then also I want to set some sales metrics. So I know that I need X amount of projects to come in every single month, every single quarter. Well, how many people do I need to reach out to? How many proposals do I need to submit, et cetera, et cetera. This one's just basic math because I've been tracking it for all of 2019. And then my last theme is content. So two big things for me is generating more content and then consuming more content. So I want to watch more YouTube videos around some services that we're thinking about providing. And then I also need to start creating more videos, hence this video. And then also writing a little bit more, reading a little bit more. So I wanted to leave this a little loose just so that it wasn't so, I need to read 350 characters, but I definitely need to start generating some more content. And I'm curious to see which one I'm naturally drawn to more and which one people actually enjoy more. So those are my 3 big themes. And then the next thing that I'm going to get into is talking about what's underneath that, of how I'm starting to create some metrics to achieve those themes. All right, so the first thing that I did was I broke down a day-to-day. There's a YouTube video by Chris Do who talks about
how to manage your time a little bit better. And I like this Post-it notes. So the white ones represent, or the yellow ones represent an hour, and then the pink ones represent 30 minutes. So if you figure out what time you go to bed and then what time you wake, you figure out how many hours roughly that you are awake and can be productive. So I broke mine down into roughly 5 hours per day for sales. Some of this might be sales and marketing. Some of it might be sales and networking. And then we have billable time for 2 hours a day, admin, which is just emails, checking on projects, blah, 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 blah. Commute to and from work. I've got 2 healths inside of here because basically it could be multiple different things. I could be going to the gym. I could be meditating. I do go see a therapist. There's lots of different things that could happen throughout a day. I'm not really 100% sure that might be too much time, but we're going to just start with it and run with it. Spending an hour a day with my wife is kind of mandatory. An hour a day relaxing, which might be a little bit of relaxing with my wife. So we'll see kind of how that goes. And then just eating food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, there's an hour in there. And then for the 30 minutes, I have my morning routine, just getting ready, creating content, consuming content, and then professional development. Again, that professional development may change, but we're just kind of getting started. So then that translates into the realistic of when I started really outlining the per day, there may be things where maybe I'm doing more sales one day and I'm doing more admin another day. So for me, I need to break down my time in a weekly. So if I'm doing this based off of 16 hours a day, being awake 5 times a day, may bleed into my weekend, but that's okay because then I'll substitute some time inside of the weekdays. So this is how I broke everything down on per week. And then that way, again, like I had said, if I'm doing, 2 solid days of sales, well, then I know for the next day, I really need to be doing billable. I need to be doing some health, things along those lines. So this was a lot more realistic for me because I don't have a set schedule. I need to kind of ebb and flow. So this is how I'm really starting to figure out, how to include a lot of, let me take a step back. So now if we look at it a big picture, right, this is how I'm making sure that I'm including a lot of my health. So how am I incorporating dog walks? How am I incorporating meditations? And then also I'm staying true to the focus, which is the 40 hours a week. So I have to stay within inside of this. So if we get to Wednesday and someone asks for a sales meeting or something along those lines, well, unfortunately I won't be able to do that. Because I need to make sure that I'm staying well balanced or that I'm doing my billable work, whatever that may actually be. And then my content creation, right? So generating more content and consuming. So I've got designated time of 2.5 hours per week. May not be enough as of right now, but I'm starting small to make sure that I'm staying realistic. This will probably change a couple of times throughout the year. For the first 6 months. So that's what this is all outlined, is just for the first six months. And then halfway through the year, I'm going to come back in and set 2 more goals to go for the end of the year. Something around the themes, which is health, focus, and content. This is how I'm setting a lot of the goals for 2020, at least the start for the first 6 months. And like I was saying, this may change. I don't really know. We'll see kind of how it goes after 6 months. Even this time log right here, this thing may change after a couple of weeks because maybe it's not realistic. I'm gonna make sure that we're tracking and then we're ebb and flowing. But as long as I have some kind of a guiding light for that focus, like that's all that's really important. So the next thing that I'm gonna start doing is breaking down my sales metrics and then also a good bit of my content creation and how I'm going to start focusing on what needs to be created, brainstorming topics, things like that.
So I spent majority of yesterday finalizing a lot of these goals, setting up some sales metrics and some sales questions that could also help with the focus aspect once we get to Q2. The funny thing about all of this is that, I was feeling so good yesterday at the beginning of the day, and then it was like a progression that just honestly kept going down and down. I lost one of our largest clients, been with me since I first started, always the kind of guy that's like, hey, you got new services, cool, here's your metrics, come to me in 3 months, come to me in 6 months, come to me at the end, and then we'll talk about, moving forward. And he's always been really good that way. And honestly, like, I'm super happy for the guy. He's retiring, he's earned it. Like, he's built a business for, 50 years, and it's time for him to retire. So that kind of hurt a little bit, right? And then also I got a notification from my bank, because we get notified whenever we're at a specific threshold. And our threshold is around $2,000, because $2,000 is, like 20 bucks in the bank for us. It can come and go so quickly. So I got a notification there. So I circled up with the bookkeeper that I have on staff and kind of said, what's going on, things like that. And we knew that this was coming. We thought more money would be coming in, but we're a little tight. We're a little stressed. So we're going to have to pull some more money from our line of credit, which isn't a bad thing, right? That's why the line of credit is there. But the thing that really burns my butt is the fact that, like, last January, this is the exact same thing that happened. We have a lot of outstanding invoices from December. We have taxes coming in January, February. And I didn't position us well throughout 2019 to know full well that in 2020, January always seems like a real horrible time for us, that we had enough cushion there. So I'm kind of beating myself up a little bit about it. I'm also understanding that, we have $30,000-$40,000 worth of invoices out. And it's just a matter of, like, it's the holidays, people are getting busy, bookkeepers on staff. So I'm not really too worried about it. I'm just, again, upset that I didn't position us in a better place. Also, for this year, and you saw, I'm getting very, very aggressive about focusing on when I'm here, I'm going to be doing this. And then I have a set amount of time, because it's getting to that point where it's like, if I give myself an hour to look through my books, it'll take me an hour. If I give myself 15 minutes, it'll take 15 minutes, and I'll achieve the same. So if I'm more focused about where I'm putting my attention, if I'm more strategic about the time of where everything is going, I think that it's going to yield a better return for us. I get very, like, squirrel. And then the next thing that I know, it's, we're losing money. I get another notification from my bank, which isn't very good. And especially with, the new holidays coming, and it's winter time right now. So, like, I'm already pretty prone to depression. And I just feel like this even more increasing less than. But that also flips a little bit to my health theme, right? So not only is it mental, it's physical, it's spiritual, right? So how can I make sure to maintain that health? I'm really excited about 2020. I'm also scared. We're offering new services. I'm going into new things that I'm excited about, but I'm also honestly, like, do I want to go into this, or do I just want to stay in my comfort zone? So I'm curious to kind of see where 2020 is going. I'm using this video as a little bit of a benchmark to position myself. So now at the beginning of February, I can kind of reference this and be accountable to not only myself, but maybe to others, maybe to other businesses that want to sort of watch as we're progressing. So, this year we did $250,000 in sales. We have 5 employees, 6 including myself. We're basically niched in providing websites and web applications, but I'm curious to see how that's going to evolve throughout the years. I'm also very curious to be able to look back on this and say, in 2-3 years' times, where has everything gone? So I'm excited to be vlogging a little bit more from myself, Misha's perspective, and then really seeing if this can be something that's a good reference for myself, a good reference for others, and see where this next year takes us of, me making this promise to myself of generating more content, a part of that content is going to be videos. I'm going to keep this real simple, real raw. I have an iPhone. I have a stand that it stands on. Sometimes I'm probably not going to be as fancy with the stand, and it's going to be selfie style, and it's going to be moving everywhere. But I'm going to be doing this. So at least once a month, if not more, an accumulation of the whole entire month. So I'm excited. Let's see where this kind of takes us. Let me know if you guys have any specific questions or if you have anything that you would want to know. But mostly you're going to see a lot of those answers because hopefully I'll capture the day-to-days, even with a lot of the monotony. So I'm hoping to be like, hey, guess what? It's not all speeches and conferences and workshops. It's also a lot of sitting here on a Friday night at 6:45. So, all right, peace. I apologize about that piece. I'm not 12 years old. It's not the 60s. I'm gonna figure out how to open and close this a little bit later, but for right now, just generating.